So, the New Right agrees on history, on the causes of our current national decline. Why is it so difficult for us to come up with a program and actualize it in the political sphere? First of all, what do we agree on? We agree that America existed atop, liberalism rode atop a substrata of self-disciplined, moral, virtuous, overwhelmingly Christian citizens. We agree that politics was not about competition between ethnic groups for resource distribution, extraction, taxes, reallocation of resources, quotas for jobs, for school admissions, that kind of thing. For most of American history, politics was not that, which it is today. How do we get back to that? Either we get back to an overwhelmingly single ethnic state, or we discipline minorities who practice those ethnic politics until they can't do them anymore. We also agree that America used to celebrate the heroic masculine, inventors, entrepreneurs. America did not use to saddle its citizens with thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of regulation and bureaucracy and credentialist requirements to be able to break into the workforce. How do we get back to that? We wipe out bureaucracy. We downsize the government to an extreme degree. We hurt leftists in their career job potential and in their control over institutions like education, workforce training, etc., etc. I think the New Right also agrees on something slightly deeper, which is the civilization that we're aiming for, although I've come to doubt it. Even though I'm on the New Right, I've seen others on the New Right who don't agree with me about what we're aiming for. Some of this is regional as well. I'm from New England. I think the kind of upper middle class New England family who send their kids to boarding school or whatever is probably the peak of human civilization. Others from the rest of the country might think differently. They might celebrate the cowboy or the Californian, naturalist and mountain hiker, or the Texas kind of entrepreneur, or somebody in the Midwest or in the South or whatever. They all have their different versions of kind of an ideal type, but I think we can coexist together. And I think those types and regional tendencies and types of men formed by the region in which they're in and the groups which migrated to those regions did coexist in American history. An interesting question to ask is whether the New Right has room for urban men and women. We do, in the sense that to be right-wing in a city is actually somewhat enlivening. Cities have a right-wing quality to them, in the sense that people are there to accumulate experience, to do things, to meet others who they can collaborate with, to trade freely. Cities have become a place in which, first of all, the left is politically dominant, but there's also a kind of cultural script underwriting the city itself, which frowns on some identities and salutes others. And can the right get the city back? And can the right build institutions other than something like the Catholic Church for young men, who are the people who the New Right serves most of all, because we're most of the people on the New Right? Can we rebuild cities in our image, not in the image of libraries with gay pride flags and all this kinds of stuff? I think we can. And I think something like Dime Square is a miniature version of this, but there is a right-wing art. There is a history of right-wing theater and culture and filmmaking and so on. And I think we need to stop being so reactionary and put forward our own journals of literary journals and publishing houses and so on. Some of this has happened a little bit with Passage Press and what Lomez has been doing. But I think we need this in cities. We need it in East Coast cities. I mean, that's where I've lived, New York City and Boston. So obviously I want more avenues of my right-wing interest here. But I think the whole culture needs this. We need classical right-wing ideas and even fun, playful, reactionary, artsy ones in cities. What does the broader political program look like? Right now we're having a lot of arguments about interventionism, and I'm anti-interventionist. I wish Trump had never started the Iran war, and I think it might be his downfall as a president and could potentially cost J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio the election in 2028, which is an election we need to win. The Democrats cannot win that election until they are badly, badly punished and sent into the political wilderness and come back as a totally different party. So I'm very concerned about that. But those conversations about interventionism and foreign policy are less interesting to me. What is most interesting is how does the new right conceive of its subjects, young men, and what is it doing to help us? And I think we need to put forward that program for ourselves. I think we need to decide that ourselves. And I think getting rid of bureaucracy, getting rid of everything the left has saddled us with in the education system, in the regulatory sphere, the messages the left has been sending to young men and women, obviously all of that are first steps that most of the new right agrees on. But what we replace them with, that's harder. Share your comments below.